Hi, welcome back to Spring CS170. We are continuing on with Chapter 5. So we left off at complex queries. So you remember we were talking about the Venn diagrams. Um, this is what we have down here. So where we left off was tigers and not baseball, right? Similar to the apples query that I was talking about. So you don't know which tigers you're talking about. It could be like the animal tigers, or it could be like the baseball team tigers. Um, so basically, what this is trying to say is tigers, but you want the animal kind, right? So you don't want the baseball ones. Okay, so so this is a not. So remember the earlier logic operators was and or. So this is another logic operator called not. So not queries tell you what's not going to be with the page. You want to filter those out. Okay. Uh, and like I said before, and is when you want both of them to be true. So that's the intersection, right? Uh, so in Google, use the minus sign for and not. Okay. Um, Probably easier to use the advanced Google search, which I'll scroll to in a second. Okay, so to say that you want the tigers but not the baseball tigers, this is what the picture looks like. Right, so here's the whole universe of tigers, here's the whole universe of baseball, and there's an intersection there. These would be the baseball team, the Tigers, which would be this little intersection here. When you look at saying not, you just want the Tigers but not the baseball Tigers. That's why you have the shaded area here. Okay, so that's the outcome when you put in Tigers and not baseball. If you actually put it in Google, you're supposed to use this minus sign to represent and not. Okay, so let's go to the next one. So there's just like one point talking about like how to get better page ranking. This is one thing that you can look at, is to say it's a mobile friendly design, right? Um, so you'll get a better page rank for that. Frankly, probably like I don't know what the percentage is, but a high percentage of the pages are going to be hit on a phone these days. So that's probably why you would set this to be more friendly. You would get a better page rank because most of the time people can be looking at things on their phone these days. Okay, uh, so you have this here, and then you can just put in your web page to see if it's mobile friendly. Okay. So this is what I was saying for the advanced search. Um, so I think it's kind of easier just to say the advanced google.com, and if you want to put in those type of stages, those type of searches. Very rarely I actually have to use these type of advanced type of searches. I pretty much just use the and um, on my searches. Uh, but it's good to know this is available. So in practice, you're probably going to use this if you really have to do a complex um, search. But for the purpose of the exam, you should know how to do this because you're going to get at least 2 or 3 questions, probably 2 questions related to this. Okay, so do try to understand how and or and not works. Come up with the examples on how they match to a Venn diagram, and just be ready for that. Okay. All right, so this goes back to the ranking. Probably I should put this down to here. Okay, so kind of the ranking topic is more put together. Okay, um, so yeah, so being mobile friendly is certainly one way to increase your ranking. Um, your other ways of looking at ranking, which is kind of more of the uh, historical way of looking at the ranking. So before mobile became like the dominant way in terms of accessing pages, this is like historically that's why it says pioneered by Google, right? So from the early days, this is the way the ranking worked, right? And it still plays a role in the ranking, right? There's other top secret ways that Google enhances its algorithm to do ranking, but from an academic standpoint, um, you can look at this to improve your ranking, right? This is kind of almost like public domain knowledge that everyone who wants to try to get their page ranked higher will know this type of stuff. Okay, but like I said, there are still some secret ways or secret algorithms that Google will use to rank its pages. But that's another topic, so I'll leave that to the side. So anyway, if you're, let's say you're page B, okay, and you have page A referring to page B, that must mean that page A thinks that you're a good source of something, right? So that's why page B will go up the rank, right? Now, if page A is also happens to be highly ranked, the fact that it's pointing to you also boosts its rank even more, right? This is just like some dummy page, um, not really worth anything, and it's linked to page B, then that's not going to really help page B too much, right? And you know, in the early days, that's what people used to do, right? In early days, maybe even now, but probably more so in the early days, people used to crank up a whole bunch of pages, dummy pages, and just point to here to try to boost up your rankings. Okay, so anyway, I digress, and that goes more to historical sidebar, right? But here, page B increases its page rank. That's the main idea you should take away for this class. Okay. All right, again, you have some different combinations here. Um, again, this goes to like the number of other pages pointing to you, right? So before we talked about one page, now you talk about 3 pages pointing to page K. So hence page K probably seems like it should be more important because you have multiple pages that are pointing to you. Assuming that these are not bogus pages, assuming these are like, you know, pretty solid pages, nice rankings themselves, this helps page K a lot in getting its ranking boosted. Okay, and then this goes to the point where I was talking about here. So Apple page, Caterpillar page, right? These are official, you know, highly ranked pages, right? Especially the Apple page, right? And then that points to page K. So you can call this authoritative page, right? The authoritative page pointing to you increases yours. It almost like they give your page credibility, right? So that's why page K is going to get their rank boosted up a lot by this. Okay, so that concludes for chapter 5. Here we have in highlight sort of a review of what we pointed at the beginning in terms of like the topics you should understand. So remember, these are kind of like data that's embedded into your web page, which helps the crawler to understand your page better, and hence the indexing and the ranking of it. Okay, will be used here. Multi-word searches, that's the one where we're using the and, or, and the not, right? So understand how that works, understand how to translate that into a Venn diagram. Remember the crawlers, right? The crawlers are used by the search engines to go through all your pages and pull out stuff like this, among other things, to help it index your page. And then on top of that index, you have the ranking, okay? So we just talked about the page ranks in this video. The advanced searches, which comes with the multi-word searches, right? And be able to use the and, or, and not, right? These are the logical operators. So combining them, again, remember there's a Venn diagram. We don't talk about it here, but that's really how you're going to get tested is with the Venn diagram, okay? And then site search, filter search, web searching. So these are the general topics here that we covered here in chapter 5. Okay, If there's any questions, give me a shout. Otherwise, I will conclude chapter 5, and then we're going to move on to chapter 4, getting into basic HTML. All right, thank you.